Honestly, guys, I have got so much on my mind today. I've probably tweeted about a million things. There's so many things I'm annoyed about. There's so many things I'm angry about. There's so much news. But today's video, we're just going to talk about the aftermath. We're going to talk about what's gone down after the game. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to get our feelings out. We're going to vent about Ineos. We're going to vent about the Glazers. There's a million stories coming out today. PR pieces of Cunha, Gyökeres. We're still going to back Amarim and spend 100 million. I'm not going to bother covering any of the PR pieces, any of the news in today's video. We're going to have a serious conversation about Manchester United because I am fuming. I am disgusted. What a season. 16th. 3 months without a win in the league. The only current Premier League team we beat in 2025 was Fulham. The other 3 teams we beat, Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, will be relegated. 2 points from a total of the last 24. 2 points from our last 6 games. On top of that, you've thrown off the Premier League for 3 months to focus on the Europa League. You're playing Tottenham Hotspur without their 3 best creative players, without their 3 best midfielders. You're playing Tottenham Hotspur in a final. They've got 3 of the most creative players out. Bar Zirkzee and Delo, we've got our strongest starting 11. Delo would have come in for Luke Shaw, Mashrawi would have gone to centre back, and Zirkzee would have come in for Højlund. And that is what you produce versus Tottenham. 3 months of not winning in the Premier League, ignoring the Premier League. We're going to win Europa. We're going to win Europa. And that is what you deliver. Bukayo only had to make 1 proper save at the end. Tottenham part the bus. Tottenham scored a scrappy goal based on our mistake. And all they knew is they had to defend because we have all possession and we can't do anything with it. Absolute stinker of a performance. Why did you wait so long to bring on Garnacho and Zirkzee? Amorim is massively at fault for today. Bruno Fernandes didn't step up, but he's the reason we got to the final. Harry Maguire was atrocious today. Luke Shaw was a disgrace. Højlund was invisible. Mason Mount was a ghost. But Ruben Amorim, half-time's not working. Why are you not bringing on Josh Zirkzee and Garnacho at half-time? Why are they getting 20 minutes? We spent a 50 million on Agate. 50 million on Agate. We've got the manager in that made Agate a good player in the first place, and he won't even give Agate 1 minute in a European final, despite the fact we spent 50 million on Agate. And believe it or not, this is probably the one game of the season lately that we probably would have needed Agate. Do you know what we lacked? Physicality in midfield. We should have actually, and I didn't think this at first, but when I saw the Spurs lineup with Saar, Basuma, Bentancur, we should have gone Agate, Casemiro, and put Bruno on for Mount. Because we really lacked physicality in midfield, and that's why Bruno struggled. We actually could have done with a guy, and if we were 1-0 behind, it's fine. We'll drop Bruno deeper, bring on an attacking player. I can't believe it. Amarim got a lot wrong. I'm not saying Amarim out, because I think it's unfair to be Amarim out without giving him a chance to win, without giving his players in. But Amarim wants to get rid of Rashford. Amarim wants to get rid of Garnacho. Amarim is willing to sell Maino. Now, but this time last year, Ineos wanted to build a project around Garnacho and Maino. They now want to sell Garnacho and Maino because we need the funds. We lost 125 million because we're not in the UCL next season to fund Amarim's rebuild. But what has Amarim done since he's come into Manchester United to show us that we should go, you know what, we're going to get rid of a talent like Maino, we're going to sacrifice the potential of Garnacho, and we're going to build Amarim's project? We're going off what he's done at Sporting, like we did with Ten Hag at Ajax. This is a risk. We've got 2 decisions. You either sack Amarim now and you get in a manager that plays a 4-3-3 because you know that gets the best out of the players. That's why Liverpool went for Arne Slot under Amarim, because Liverpool went, we don't want to do loads in the summer. Let's get Arne Slot because he can adapt to our squad and their needs. So we either get in a manager that can adapt to this squad and needs, which some people don't like because the squad is crap and people say we need 11 new players anyway, or we have to go and back Amarim big. But there's a big risk to back Amarim this summer. I want Amarim to get back. I think that he can succeed, but I'm worried. He's not shown anything to make me confident that backing him is going to turn it around next season. Maybe I'm being negative. Maybe I'm being reactionary. I put 100 tweets out and I'm not in my state of mind right now. But we'll sell Garnacho, we'll sell Maino, we'll sell Rashford, Bruno might go. 4 of our best players gone. Whether you like them or not, they are 4 of our best players. You might not like Garnacho, and I do not like what he said after the game. But I'll tell you this, Garnacho would have had a better game than Mason Mount today if he started. Garnacho misses chances. Garnacho is super frustrating, but Garnacho at least makes things happen. We're at least more dangerous with him on the pitch, despite the fact he misses so many chances. And Amarim's making digs at Garnacho. So we'll sell all of those players. and we're going to use that money to back Amarim in a rebuild. But if all of a sudden we get to November this year and Amarim's got 5 new players in and it's still crap and we still can't score goals and we sack Amarim, we'll be thinking, why do we sell Maino for 60 million? We're going back to a 4-3-3. Why do we sell Garnacho for 50 million? We'll go back to 4-3-3. He kicked out Rashford. Look how good Rashford's been for this Premier League club, or look how good Rashford is at Barcelona. We will look at that and think, what idiots. We'll look at the players we got rid of. So Ineos have a big decision to make. You're either going to go all in and back Amarim because you know what, the players are the biggest problem at this club, not the manager. And the players have been the biggest problem at this club for a while. So you either go all in and you back Amarim and you get rid of all these players. But if that goes wrong, we're even further back. We're even further back. You have to stick to a plan. You have to stick to a plan. I've got a super chat here. Ollie got cooked with being 6th place, 16th. Cheer up, Alice. We know you sleep in Liverpool, jump. F off. F off. Ollie, yeah, 6th place. We're in a position though where we'll take 6th place next season. We're going to sit here and if we finish 6th next season, we're going to be happy. 3 years ago, finishing 6th was a disgrace. 6th place was a disgrace. 6th place was the worst Manchester United ever. Just 2 years ago. 3 years ago, 6th place. That was unthinkable. How disgraceful that was. We're going. Well, we haven't got European football. We can focus on the league. Let's just hope we get back into the top 6 next season. Let's just hope we get back into the top 6 next season. Disgrace. Absolute disgrace. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to begin. But I want to talk about a few things. And I do apologise if the Wi-Fi is a bit bad or the quality is a bit bad. But there's a bit of news coming out behind the scenes, which I don't like. There's a little bit of news coming out behind the scenes that I don't like. So I was speaking to somebody behind the scenes, dressing room source, and they said after the game, the environment, the morale at Man United is so low. And you can imagine that because us as fans feel it. But apparently Amarim and Garnacho wouldn't speak to each other. Apparently Amarim ignored Onana. Apparently Amarim wasn't even speaking to Garnacho and Onana. Apparently Amarim told the Manchester United players he wants to be left alone. He didn't give them a team talk after the loss. We lost. He didn't scream at the players. He didn't shout at the players. Apparently Amarim just ignored the players. He ignored Garnacho and Onana in particular. Apparently wouldn't talk to them. Wouldn't talk to anybody. Wanted to be left alone. He was fuming. He's upset. You know, there's a feeling. Some people think he could just quit and resign. He tried to resign after the 3-1 Brian, or some people do think that. Some people think he has to go back him. But there's a big fallout. There's a big fallout going on now between Garnacho and Amarim. Garnacho's comments, Amarim's comments. There's a big bust up between Amarim and Garnacho going on. Amarim not even speaking to Garnacho. Amarim not even speaking to the players. Bruno's agent is coming out talking Bruno to leave. Man United are going to lose 125 million quid for not winning that game. And do you know what the worst part about it was? Spurs weren't even good. Like, I know that sounds like a salty thing to say, but it's not like we're sitting here like, oh, you know, this Spurs team is brilliant. This Spurs team is great. You know, we're literally playing a 17th place Spurs team without their 3 best midfielders that didn't even create a chance, that had 25% possession, that had 3 shots all game, that capitalised on our mistake, and somehow it's gone on Luke Shaw and Onana couldn't get to that. And then they parked the bus. All Spurs had to do is defend. And that's what they did. They defended. You know, they defended well, and I'll give Spurs credit. But I literally spoke to 2 Spurs fans after the game, or a couple hours after the game, and they were gassed. But they said, you know what? They said they're happy with Tottenham. They defended for their lives and got his game plan spot on. But they said to me, Man United were probably marginally better team. Both teams weren't good. Both teams are crap. And that's why we're 16th, 17th in the Premier League. But the Spurs fans said Ange got his tactics right. Ange knew you press United line, they'll make mistakes. That's what they did. You press us, we'll make mistakes. They'll capitalise on the mistakes because Spurs, unlike Man United, can put the ball in the back of the net. And they've got Romero and Van de Ven, and all they have to do is defend. And Spurs knew that. So why Spurs? Maybe Man United were slightly the better team. But none of our players showed up. So we didn't even challenge Spurs. We didn't even give Spurs much to defend. Honestly. It's time to come home soon. I'm trying not to be too negative. I don't like how negative I'm being. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't like how negative I am. But I feel lost. I feel like Man United is finished. And I hate that. I thought we were finished in the Rangnick season. I take the Rangnick season over this. If we'd have finished 5th in the league and we put in a decent performance and we'd lost to Spurs, it hurts, but 5th in the league, whatever. 6th in the league, whatever. We're 16th. We've not won a Premier League game in 3 months. We've ignored the Premier League for this, and this is the performance. And we had the Glazers in charge. Ineos' first year, selling us a dream, and this is what they deliver in their first season at Manchester United. It just makes me fuming. The whole situation makes me fuming. Because there's a part of me saying, you know what, no European football next season means we don't need such a big squad so we can sell players. We won't get as many injuries. We can rest players midweek. We can focus on the league. But the problem is, we need top 5. We need to finish 5th next season. I don't think Europa League football's enough. I will take Europa League football next season. But I'm Manchester United. What we need next season is if we finish 8th next season, we're still F'd. Unless we win the FA Cup again and finish 8th, we can get back in the Europa League. We've got somewhat of a lifeline. But we seriously need to do a Chelsea. Or when Tottenham finished 8th and Ange came in and they finished 5th, and this is why they're in the Europa League. We don't have European football next season. So we need to sit there and we need to get our shit together next season. And we need to push that top 5 and we need to deliver in the Premier League and we need to go and win that FA Cup. That's what we need to do. But I don't think we can do that. How do under Amarim, how can Man United get back in the top 5? I'll tell you this now. You've got to sign Cunha, you've got to sign Gyökeres, and you've got to sign Mbeumo. So that's 3 players that are going to be almost £200 million to fix the attack, and who knows if they come. So you need Cunha, Gyökeres, and Mbeumo in attack. You need Belieber to come into midfield, and I'd probably get Hayden Hackney another option for depth. You need Ait Nouri, you need Joan Garcia, and you need another young centre-back, and maybe we can do something. Because I'm all for backing Amorim, and I've given Amorim the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that he had his strongest, and what Amorim sees, more importantly, as his strongest Man United lineup, bar Xerxes and Dalot today, because Dalot would have been in for sure, Mazraoui would have gone centre-back, Xerxes would have started. The fact that Amorim was 2 players away from what he believes is his strongest Manchester United starting 11, and in 90 minutes versus a Tottenham Hotspur side without their 3 best midfielders, he can't beat them. He can't score a goal. We have all this possession, we can't score a goal. Everything we've seen in the Premier League for the last 3 months, where we have a lot of the ball and we can't score a goal. Possession, nothing with it. That's what concerns me. Tottenham Hotspur, 17th, keeper is missing. We still can't beat them. And in a one-off game, he should have gone, you know what? Maybe I'm going to get Gatti on for Mount and push Bruno higher up because we're losing the physicality there. Oh, Mason Mount's not offering anything. Well, Garnacho misses chances. At least Garnacho makes things happen when he's on the pitch. I'll bring Garnacho on. Rasmus Højlund was atrocious. Xerxes' first touch and pass, within a minute of being on the pitch, he'd already done more than Højlund that game. You know, the calls, the substitutions. You know, we're not getting Gyökeres now, let's be honest. Guys, what is the quality like? Because apparently my Wi-Fi connection is bad. So I do apologise if that's the case. I keep being told that. But also, we have to pay Chelsea £3.5 million because Mason Mount played in a European final. Can you believe that? £3.5 million we've got to pay Chelsea. So we only made £2 million for being in the final because we've got to give most of it to Chelsea. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Amorim's been spotted at the team hotel in Bilbao. He just looks done. Bruno Fernandes' agent is talking. The Glazers and Ratcliffe are being booed, which is good to see. Apparently, Man United will have 100 million to spend. PR nonsense. We'll talk about that later. I'm not going to talk about any of these PR stories. After the Europa League final, the feeling inside Man United was heartbrokenness and numbness. Cunha's going to come regardless. Cunha's the PR spin. Man United are paying 20 grand to have a party for the players tonight. You can F off. Yeah. Nobody at the club has any confidence in Højlund's being reported today. There's a lot being reported. Some Man United figures don't believe in Højlund. The board are in backing of Amarim. I mean, there's so much being reported and so much going about. But what worries me is Amarim wouldn't even speak to the players. Amarim and Garnacho would have bust up. So that's Garnacho gone. Let's be honest. That's Garnacho gone. Amarim ain't speaking to Onana. Onana wants more money. He wants more wages. So Onana will probably go to Saudi, which is probably a good thing. Bruno's agent is gassing up. Bruno could leave. You know, apparently it was bad in the dressing room after the match. From sources I spoke to, it was bad. After the match, it was bad. Amarim could barely speak to the players. The players apparently were in tears. Some of them were arguing. Apparently, Casemiro was not happy with Onana. You know, this is what's being said in regards to Man United behind the scenes, that some players were in tears, some players were fuming at each other. Ruben Amorim was speechless. He was upset with Garnacho, and apparently it was really bad in the dressing room. And, there was fighting, there was tears, there was players not speaking. Bruno could now leave. It's been a mess. Onana wants more wages. Onana got a new agent and asked Manchester United to give him a 25% wage increase. He was really annoyed that his wages went down 25% because we weren't in the Champions League this year. Yeah. The whole match quality-wise was the worst cup final since. I have to say, and I'm not saying this out of bitterness, because well done Mickey van der Ven, well done Romero. Spurs' defence did an incredible job and Spurs wanted it more. But that is the worst winning performance I've seen. Spurs had 3 shots and 25% possession. Didn't cause us any problems. Literally got a goal through a mistake and an own goal. And they won that. And that tells you everything you need to know about the quality of Man United. And Ange, that played into Ange's hand. Ange knew if he went 1-0 up, it was game over because we can't score goals. He'd part the bus. It played into Ange's hands. But that is the fact that Tottenham won badly just shows the standard of this club. So yeah, Man United. Man United will not change plans and are set to have an indoor party tonight, said to cost close to 20 grand. Staff left fuming as it's just for players and atmosphere's low. Why are you having a party? 16th! And you lose to Spurs in the final. Why are you having a party? I don't know about John Gossip, it's about Onana. Like, seriously, this club, 16th, you lose the final to Tottenham through a jammy own goal coming off Brennan Johnson, a Tottenham side without their 3 best midfielders. Oh, Brett, we have a party. F off. Off. Honestly, disgrace. A Ratcliffe, disgrace. Ineos, 0 out of 10. And then it gets worse. And do you know what? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a small part of me backing Garnacho on this. And I hate it when... Look, I think Garnacho gets frustrated and he needs to keep it in his mouth and zip it sometimes. His brother needs to zip it sometimes. But there's a part of me that's with Garnacho on this, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but there is a part of me that's... I feel Garnacho's frustration. I've got 2 mindsets on this. So Garnacho said this. It's difficult for us all. The season has been shit. We lost the final. We didn't beat anyone in the Premier League. It's been very difficult. He said, until the final, I played every round helping the team. Then the final arrives and I played 20 minutes. I don't know. The final, the season, the whole situation of the club, I will try and enjoy the summer and then we will see what happens. Garnacho shouldn't be saying this. Garnacho shouldn't be saying this one bit, but part of me's with him. Garnacho, for me, I was happy with Mason Mount starting, but after 45 minutes, I wanted Garnacho on. After 45 minutes, I'd seen enough. Garnacho needed to come on. Because yes, Garnacho misses chances. Yes, Garnacho frustrates me, but Garnacho does more in terms of directness than anybody else. Like when Garnacho's on the pitch, we are more dangerous. If Garnacho had the shooting boots of Lamine Yamal, Garnacho is a very good player, but he doesn't. But he makes things happen. So how many crosses has Garnacho put in? Garnacho's created the most chances in the last few games. Garnacho's had the most shots. Garnacho's had the highest XG. Yes, he misses chances, Garnacho, but our first shot on target didn't come until Garnacho came on the pitch and within 1 minute had a shot on target. Given it wasn't the greatest shot, but you're challenging the keeper. You're making something happen. Garnacho getting 20 minutes was a disgrace. 30 odd minutes I could have done with. Maybe you gave Mount 15 minutes in the second half, but he should have come on at half time. So you know what? Garnacho, he probably thinks he's better than the club. He probably thinks he's bigger than the club. And sometimes he needs to put a zip on it. And I don't like that. And he might have to go. But I'm going to tell you this now. I'm kind of agree with Garnacho. At least he cares. At least he gives a F. Garnacho cared more than half the players on the pitch. Garnacho wanted it more than half the players on the pitch. He scored in his last 2 cup finals. He's played for Manchester United. Him and Maino were the best players in the FA Cup final. The whole reason we're in the Europa League is because of the performances of Garnacho and Maino in the Europa League, in the FA Cup final. And Garnacho and Maino barely get any minutes. And Garnacho shouldn't be saying this, but there's a part of me that gets where Garnacho's at. He's angry, he's frustrated, he cares about this club more than other teams. He cares about himself more than most players, but I don't like players speaking out against the manager. But when Ruben Amorim was saying he didn't play Garnacho because he missed a chance in the semi-final that could have cost us, Garnacho has every right to be annoyed. Like, I can't believe I'm sort of backing Garnacho on this, but I do think Garnacho has the right to be annoyed at Amarim because Amarim made sly comments about Garnacho. And rather than, Amarim loves Mason Mount. He absolutely loves Mason Mount. You can see that. But Mason Mount offered nothing tonight. He was shite tonight. But instead, he defended Mason Mount and said, well, Garnacho missed chances in the semi-final. He did. Mason Mount did well in the semi-final. But I'm going to be completely honest. Garnacho should have had more than 20 minutes. Garnacho and Maino are the reason we're in the Europa League. Garnacho is one of the reasons we've got to the final. And I feel for Garnacho. I feel his frustration. And I'm going to be totally honest. My biggest concern under Ruben Amorim is Ineos said they wanted to build the team around Garnacho and Maino. And some people might feel that Garnacho and Maino aren't good enough, but I still believe that Garnacho and Maino in the right system, in the right environment, if you platform them, if you give them time to develop and they had more experienced players around them, I think they're both elite talents. And people might say you're talking out your arse, Alice, particularly on Garnacho, because we haven't seen a lot from Garnacho and Maino, but I do. And Ruben Amorim coming in and not knowing how to get the best out of Garnacho, not knowing how to use Maino, not even knowing what position to put Maino on, giving Maino 2 minutes, that is a red flag. Garnacho shouldn't be talking like this, and Garnacho will go. But that is a massive red flag. He missed sitters game after game after game. But at least he has a shot. At least he could test the keeper. Vicario is shaky. I don't like it. I feel like I'm going on Amorim here a bit too much. But I'm annoyed at Amorim. I'm upset at Amorim. I'm not convinced by Ruben Amorim, to be honest. I'm not Ruben Amorim out because the poor guy comes into a Man United side that was 14th, loses Rashford and Antony, doesn't get them replaced, then loses Ahmed and Xerxes to injury. We have absolutely nobody. He's playing a new system. It's not completely Amorim's fault. He deserves a transfer window, and I'm not Amorim out. But I'm saying if Ineos were to sack Amorim tomorrow, I wouldn't be mad about it. Because he's not done enough to say we're gonna sacrifice this whole build around Maino Garnacho plan. We're gonna sell Bruno, we're gonna sell Rashford, we're gonna sell Maino and Garnacho, and we're gonna back you. Because if we do that and Amorim doesn't do it this time next season, we're gonna be going, why did we sell Maino? Look how good Maino is playing for Chelsea. Why did we sell Maino? Oh, look how good Garnacho's doing at Napoli. They're gonna win another league title. We'll look like fools. We'll look like idiots. We'll look like absolutely idiots if we do that and we go back to a 4-3-3. The system is negative and diabolical with current players. Amorim deserves some pelters. He does. I don't care if the players are crap. Amorim's not winning a Premier League game in 3 months. Amorim setting us up this negatively. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Amorim, I think, deserves a transfer window because this team is crap. And I almost feel like we've got to rebuild this whole team. But I'm worried about Amorim. People won't like Maino because he's not showed a lot this season. But go and watch Maino versus Liverpool last season. Go and watch Maino in the FA Cup final last season and tell me Maino isn't a generational talent that this club should build around, because he is. Maino is a £100 billion player. He's a generational talent, and this season he's been lost because this manager doesn't even know how to use him. And that worries me. Let's be honest. This is on the manager. Had Manchester United finished 12th place with Ruben Amorim this season, I'd say that's fair. We're probably a 14th place squad. He's got us 12th. We're a 14th place squad, and if Tottenham win, because we ain't beating Villa, let's be honest, we could finish 17th. We could generally finish 17th. Yeah, this channel's a disgrace, so negative. You clearly don't watch my channel then, because I am so positive. I am always positive. I'm always trying to look at the positives. I'm always trying to gas Manchester United up. I'm always defending our players. I'm always defending our manager. I am so positive. I've said good things about Ineos. I've said, trying to get behind this project, trying to believe in this project. But how can I be positive when we're 16th, maybe 17th in the league, and we've lost? We've lost the final. How can I be positive? The players that we're meant to build around, this project that Ineos sold to us, we're going to build around Maino. The manager doesn't even know how to use him. We lose to Tottenham without their best 3 midfielders. How can I be positive? How can I be positive? Because I'll tell you this now. Watch every single Manchester United fan channel, and I'm probably one of the more positive out there. I get called top red. I get called deluded positivity. Yeah? Every Man United fan has the right to be angry. We've 16th without a trophy, 200 million spent. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Honestly, Man United fans have every right to be furious, because you know what? It's not just about, oh, we lost. Bruno's probably going to go, and next season without Bruno, we could be done. We could be done. And Alex is spot on. A final, you've got, you've sacked off the league for 3 months. Because you're going to deliver in the final. I'm sorry, But sacking off the league for 3 months to deliver that in a performance, every rate of pass was off, no urgency, was a disgrace. Imagine sacking off the league for 3 months and that is the performance you give in a final. Look, Bruno had a stinker yesterday, and people are saying, oh, Bruno's ruined his legacy, this and that. Mate, we'd have been relegated if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes. Bruno had a stinker yesterday. Amarim should have moved him further up. He couldn't deal with the physicality in midfield. Bruno had a bad game. But if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes, we wouldn't be in the Europa League. We wouldn't have won the FA Cup. Bruno Fernandes, people saying Bruno doesn't show up in big games. Bruno showed up in the Liverpool game this season, the Arsenal game this season. Bruno Fernandes showed up and put in a 9 out of 10 performance in the FA Cup final to get us in the Europa League. So people are using this Bruno crap. You know, people are saying because Bruno had a bad game today, he's never a big game player, he's been crap for us, he needs to go. No, we'd been relegated without Bruno. We wouldn't be in the Europa League without Bruno because he was massive in that FA Cup final. This was a one-off bad game for Bruno. He had a stinker. But I tell you what, if we lose Bruno, we're done. You know, Bruno's agent said this. Sometimes life is just unfair. You deserve more. You're an exceptional professional. Stay strong, Bruno. Bruno's agent is coming out and saying Bruno deserves more than United. And as Nad said here, for me, this is the final nail in the coffin for Bruno. Look at that's his agent's Insta story. We had our worst ever season, worst ever ownership combo in football too. Never been more over. Bruno will go. Bruno wants to win trophies. Bruno said whether he's here or not, he still believes Amarim's the guy that will succeed at United. Bruno literally said after the match, whether I'm there or not, I believe Amarim will succeed. Whether I'm there or not. Yeah, so you are looking at your future. Garnacho saying we'll see what happens in the summer. Bruno saying whether I'm there or not. Do you know what I mean? It's very clear. It's very clear. I think Bruno Fernandes is going to go. I think they're going to sell Maino and Garnacho and Bruno and Rashford to cover the financial situation we're in. But I'm telling you this now. Can we trust Ineos? And people don't like Rashford. But Rashford would have started today had he been fit and Amarim liked him. Rashford is better than Mason Mount and Rashford is better than Rasmus Højlund. He would have done more today. You might not like Marcus Rashford, but he would have started today. He gets in our best starting 11. Some people might not like Bruno Fernandes, but where would we be without him? Some people might not like Kobbie Mainoo, but if you look at our FA Cup final, if you look at the big games versus Liverpool last season, we should be building around Kobbie Mainoo. We should absolutely be building around Kobbie Mainoo. So I'm going to say this to you guys now. Man United might sell Garnacho, who's our most threatening player and why he's frustrating and misses chances. We might sell Garnacho, we might sell Mainoo, we might sell Rashford, and we might sell Bruno to cover this financial mess. I think, and people might not agree with me on this, that they're 4 of our best players plus Ahmad and Yoro and Mazraoui. I think they are. And I'm not saying that they all deserve to be here, you know. Obviously what's happened with Rashford's happened with Rashford. But selling Rashford, selling Garnacho, selling Bruno and selling Mainoo, I think they're 4 of our... I think they're 4 players in our top 10 for most quality in a poor squad. And if you sell them and you replace them with crap, we'll be even worse next season. We'll get relegated. Like, that's how I feel. You know, that's how I feel. Maybe Bruno stays. Bruno did say after the game this. My point of view has never been the financial side. If I want to go for the financial side, I will always have the option to go. But that's not the thing. What I want to is win trophies and be involved in the best competitions. He's saying he wants to win trophies and be involved in the best competitions. I don't think Bruno wants to go to Saudi, but I think Bruno wants to go. I think if Bayern Munich, you know, they can't get Wirtz, they want to drop £80 million on Bruno Fernandes, I think Manchester United might do it. I think Man United will want 100 million for Bruno, and I think only Saudi will pay that. But Bruno will want to go. Bruno will want to go. You know, it was frustrating yesterday, had a bad game. But yeah. Alice, I usually like your videos, but there's a lot of anger from the loss. They aren't that good to build around. I have a lot of anger. And I'm probably saying things out of emotion and anger that I might not think in a week's time and think that I was saying that out of pure emotion. But I'm just going to say this now. Look what we've done in the past. Oh, we saw McTominay. Look how good he is at Napoli. We saw this player. Look how good he is at that club. Look how good Anthony is at Betis. It's frustrating because people on this fan base, they don't like Mainoo, they don't like Garnacho, but I think Mainoo and Garnacho are good players with good potential. And I generally believe if we built around them and they're in a stable environment, they will both be top-level players. Marcus Rashford's hit and miss, probably needs to go for his own good. But again, Marcus Rashford has more quality than anybody else in our front line when it comes to scoring goals. You know, there's talk of them selling Xerxes and keeping Højlund. Imagine you sell Xerxes, you keep Højlund, you sell Rashford, you sell Ahmad, you sell Garnacho. What would have left? I mean, Ahmad will stay, but I'm going to say this now. Ahmad, Yoro and Mainoo is who we should be building around. But Ruben Amorim doesn't know how to use Mainoo, and that worries me. But look, Garnacho, I can understand selling him. You know, Rashford, I can understand selling him. Bruno, if he goes, but we have to build around Maino, Ahmed, and Euro. We have to build around Maino, Ahmed, and Euro. And I'm going to say this now. I'm still fuming about Dan Ashworth. I'm still fuming about Dan Ashworth. And I can't stop that. Let me share my screen. I'm absolutely fuming about the whole Dan Ashworth situation. As a United fan, I'm tired of the arrogance. Sir Alex Ferguson earned confidence. Many fans and YouTubers mocking Spurs over history is part of the problem, not you. Yeah, I mean, I was one of the few fans that said, look, my heart will always back United, but my head told me Tottenham were going to win. Because I watched this all season. I like Colby, but he isn't a generational talent. He's talented, but he's been poor this season, even before Amarim. We must stop overhyping our players. Look, Colby's been poor this season, and I can understand why people don't see it because he's been poor this season. But from what I saw last season, you know, I just think we had to build around him and we didn't. And I think we failed him. I think we had a player that we could build around that was a £100 million player that we didn't have to go out and buy, and we failed him. And people won't like me for saying this, but again, this is what I was told by a good source. The way, like, Ineos, basically, Dan Ashworth, he didn't say keep Ten Hag, but Dan Ashworth said, if we sack Ten Hag for Amarim, they're two managers that play two completely different styles of football, and we know we've got no money to spend in January. Do we want to sack this manager for a manager that plays a completely different style of football, knowing we have no money in January? Because that's not going to save our season. And they had a big fallout of Ashworth about it, because Ashworth said, if we're going to sack Ten Hag, we need to go in for someone that's going to play a back four. It could be an interim manager. It doesn't have to be a permanent manager. And they didn't like that, and he got sacked. And then because he got sacked and everyone was saying, wait, you spent $5 million to bring Ashworth in, to sack him 5 months later, everyone was having a hissy fit. They basically made up a story that he wanted Southgate. I know Ashworth never wanted Southgate. I know there was a big fallout because Ashworth didn't think that replacing Ten Hag with Amarim mid-season was the way, because we knew we couldn't back Amarim in January. He had concerns that we'd gone and spent all this money to play this system and we're going to just completely throw it away. And that concerns me, you know. That concerns me 100%. 100%. Ashworth, and also people like Ineos put out this PR that Ashworth extended Ten Hag's contract. Ashworth wasn't at the club when we decided to keep Ten Hag on. I'm going to say that now. Ashworth was not at the club because of gardening leave when we kept Ten Hag. Ashworth did not have a say in keeping Ten Hag. I will say this now. Ashworth was proved correct, was way worse after Ten Hag left with the squad not suited to a gaffer. 100%. Ten Hag was crap, but I think we finished 9th with Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag would have got us about 9th place in the end, and that would have been crap. But I think we would have finished about 9th. We were on track to finish 14th with Ten Hag, but I think we would have finished 9th. But he wasn't using Ahmad, and Ten Hag had every right to be sacked. You know, and I don't think we would have got to the Europa League final if Ten Hag was still in charge, but I think if Ten Hag was manager of the Europa League final, we would have won. And that might sound like a weird thing to say. We would not have made the final if Ten Hag was not sacked. I will say that now. But if Ten Hag was in charge yesterday, we would have beat Tottenham. I'll say that. I'm so angry. I'm so upset. Do you know what? I feel so negative. I feel so angry. I'm probably not rational. But I just feel I feel we could get relegated next year. I feel like it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Oh, we're signed a lap. And okay, he's better than Højlund, but will he be better than Højlund when he comes to Manchester United in this crap environment? Like, we're just continuing, guys, to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every season. And I feel like our better players are the ones we'll get rid of. You know, the only thing I can think of is we've got time for a bit of a rebuild. But the Ineos, I can't stand them. And I don't know if you watched what I said on We Are Tottenham TV, but while my heart will always back United, I did say I think Tottenham will win this. I've watched Man United all season, and what we saw today or yesterday was no different to what we've seen in the Premier League all season. It's no different. Like, when I went on We Are Tottenham TV, I said my heart will always back United. Hopefully Bruno and Ahmed will step up and deliver, and they didn't. And if Bruno and Ahmed step up and deliver, Man United win. But I said my head will back Tottenham. I said this. My head goes, Man United going to score a goal because we can't score. And could Tottenham nick it? Brennan Johnson under that post, sort of jammy goal kind of thing. Part of my head thinks Tottenham can nick this 1-0 and part of the bus, and Brennan Johnson jammy goal. So I literally said on Sunday, honestly, if I was going to use my head based off what I'd seen from Manchester United all season and what I'd seen from Tottenham all season, despite Tottenham having these key players missing, if Man United's big players don't show up, I said Tottenham will win at 1-0 because they'll score a goal, they'll defend well because they've got Van der Ven and Romero back, and Man United can't break down teams. Because I'd watched us for the last 3 months in the Premier League and I'd watched Tottenham, I was able to predict 1-0 and Brennan Johnson will score a jammy goal. But I said my head is going to go 3-1 United because I know that maybe Bruno's going to show up, Casemiro's going to show up, Ahmad's going to show up and deliver, but they didn't. So that was the worry. That I saw it coming. What we saw today was nothing different to what we've seen in the Premier League all season. And we won't see anything different next season without serious change. Like, look, you got a big decision to make. Are you going to keep Amarim or are you going to sack Amarim? Are you going to hope that with a few signings, Amarim's going to deliver? Because Amarim hasn't even done enough to deserve a few signings. But I think the biggest problem is the players at the club, and you've probably got to stick with the manager and back the manager if that's the plan. But you've got a decision to make now. You're either going to keep with Amarim and you're going to follow this back five plan, and whoever you sack after, if Amarim fails, whoever you sack, you're going to bring in a manager that can get the most out of the players you bring in for Amarim. Or you sack Amarim, you bring in a manager that plays a back four because there's less work to do in the summer. You've got a decision to make, Manchester United. You've got a risk to make. You've got to. If you believe in Amarim, you've got to back him. If you believe in Amarim as much as you say you do, then go back him. Go what you believe you need to do in the summer. But to back Amarim, you need to sell. You might have to sell Garnacho, Maino, Bruno, Rashford. 4 players that get in our best starting 11 if we're in a 4-3-3 with everybody fit. Maybe not Garnacho, actually. Ahmad, Xerxes, Rashford would be our best front three. Bruno in a 10 in a 4-3-3. Maino in a midfield in a 4-3-3. All I'm saying now is Xerxes, Ahmad, Rashford, Bruno in a 10, Maino as an 8. You get a top number 6 and you get Belieber and a bit of physicality in that midfield. Mazraoui in a back four. But Mazraoui was, for the first 3 months of the season, was the best right back in the Premier League in a back four. Oh, Dorgu can play in the back four, by the way, as well. That's absolutely fine. I thought Dorgu was good yesterday, actually. Dorgu's got a lot of stick, but Dorgu was good yesterday and Euro was good yesterday. Euro Delict, Dorgu, Delo, new goalkeeper, Belieber, Maino, Bruno. Rashford's going to go to a new left winger, Xerxes, Ahmad. Maybe we got something there. Garnacho off the bench. That's the question. I think it's easier to rebuild Man United if we played a 4-3-3. But I also think we played a 4-3-3. We played a 4-2-3-1. It's not worked. We've had no luck with that. Let's go try something completely different. Let's get all these players out. Let's get all these players in, because you know what? We can't do it with this current crop of players, even if we play a 4-3-3, even if we play a 4-2-3-1. But I think there's less work to do. Bye-bye, Yokra. Yeah, Yokras we ain't getting. Imagine losing to Spurs 4 times in one season. I don't believe in Amarim. It's disgrace. 4 times in one season. I found 7 errors with this lineup. Alice, have you seen my post on which players will leave this summer? Which ones do you agree with? I'll have a look now. I'll get your post up now. Okay, I'm getting yours up now. Who do we think is going to leave Man United in the summer? Right, let's get this up. So Rashford will go. The only way Rashford stays is if no one wants to pay up for him. But Marcus Rashford, £40 million is a bloody good deal. I think he'll go to Barcelona, but they are looking at Diaz Barcelona. So Rashford will go. Maybe if Amarim gets sacked, he stays. But I think Rashford's gone. Sancho is gone. The club are done with him. I think Chelsea might buy him now. Malacia, they want to get rid of. I think Malacia will go on the cheap. I think it could go on the deadline day and he'll go on the cheap. The club will let him go. Evans is gone. Lindelof is gone. Højlund's going to go on loan for me. No one's going to pay 40 million for Højlund, so we can't make a loss because of PSR. He'll go on loan. I think Bruno's going to go. The problem with Bruno is Man United aren't going to accept anything less than £100 million for Bruno, and only Saudi, I think, would pay that for a 31-year-old. So the problem with Bruno is he wants to leave to win trophies. He's not too bothered about money. Would he just leave for money? Because Saudi's... Garnacho's gone. I don't want Garnacho to go. I don't. But I don't think he's frustrated. Garnacho frustrates me more than any other player in this Man United team. Garnacho winds me up and annoys me and misses so many shots more than any other player in this Man United team. But I don't want Garnacho to go because I think he's the only player in this team that when he gets the ball and he dribbles at players, it's worth watching. Because other than that, it's backwards, sideways. I'm not sure about Casemiro. I don't know. I think it depends on Saudi. I think he might stay. I think because Garnacho will go, they might keep Maino because they get the PSR money from Garnacho. But I think Maino's a 50-50. Baindy is gone. Heaton's gone. Eriksen's gone. Luke Shaw from the way he was talking. The way I read Luke Shaw's post-match reaction was, I don't deserve to be at Man United. Luke Shaw basically said, without saying, I need to take a look at myself. I don't deserve to be at Man United. Man United don't deserve this. We have to look at ourselves as the players. So I think Luke Shaw could go, but with his injury record, does anyone want him? Was anyone going to pay his wages? Collier, I don't want him to go. I like Collier. Again, no minutes for him. I know he's been injured. It's a bit different. Anthony will go. I think Collier could stay. I think Maino could stay. I think Casemiro could stay. I think Højlund will go on loan. And Bruno depends on the offers. But, yeah. But the problem is, how many, as you said here, how many of those will be replaced? We don't have electricity. If we get rid of Rashford and we get rid of Garnacho, there's no electricity in the squad. There's no one that's electric and takes on players. And you need that in the Premier League. It will be boring to watch. So I want, Cunha's great. But you need to get in Wemo if you want someone that's going to come on and take on players and make things happen. We need a bit of electricity. Believe is 100 million. We won't get him. We won't get him. People are annoyed at Ahmad. Ahmad didn't have a good game. But Ahmad was the only player trying to make things happen. What Ange did is he knew Bruno was playing deeper, so Ahmad would be the only threat. So every time Ahmad had the ball, Basuma was on him, Richarlison was on him, and Udogie was on him. And Ahmad was getting triple teams. Mason Mount, look at the space Mason Mount and Dorgu got compared to Ahmad. Ange was basically saying, score a jammy goal, go 1-0 up, keep Ahmad quiet, park the bus. And that's what they did, and that's how they won. That's absolutely how they won. It's just depressing. This has been a really depressing season. Liverpool equaling our titles. 16th, no trophy, no European football next season. We're going into next season losing key players. Look, I want Amarim to succeed. Give Amarim a good summer, but I can't. I'm not behind this Amarim project. I don't believe in it. Yesterday made me lose belief. I've been watching the Premier League games this season. I went, if we just have better attackers, I think we'll be all right under Amarim. And I do think you get rid of Højlund. If you got rid of Højlund for Gyökeres and you got rid of Onana for Joan Garcia, I think many of our draws or narrow defeats could be turned into wins because they're a big problem. But I just feel the way we're playing, our inability to break teams down, the fact that he doesn't know how to utilise our players, I have worries. I have concerns around Amarim. I'm not going to lie. It's a huge decision. This is what I tweeted. I'm going to pause this here. But I have concerns. I hate being this negative, but I really do have concerns. Let me zoom in on this. I think I am just a bit emotional, so I am just being a bit more negative than normal. But I said biggest red flag of Amarim is he didn't know how to maximise the academy talent, Rashford, Garnacho, and Maino. Now, I'm not saying that Rashford should be in next season or Garnacho should be in next season, but he didn't know how to maximise them. Any manager should be building around Maino. He doesn't know how to use him. Maino, Amad, Yoro is the future. If Maino, Bruno, Garnacho, and Rashford all go, how do we know we'll replace them with better? And that's on Ineos. That's on the Glazers. How do we know? That worries me. And I know Maino's not at the best season, but you build around Maino, Amad, and Yoro. I feel sorry for Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro was the best player on the pitch. Lenny Yoro was the best player on the pitch, followed by Dorgu. Lenny Yoro deserved to win that. 19 years of age, youngest player on the pitch. Lenny Yoro, best player on the pitch, youngest player on the pitch. He'll go to Real Madrid next year. If we have another season of being crap, he's going to go to Madrid. He's going to go to Madrid. Amarim game management was poor. It was bad. I do think the positives I can think of is, honestly, Cunha, a striker, a good goalkeeper, and a midfielder that can progress the ball could make a massive difference. But I still think you need a wing back, you need another centre back for depth, you need a goalkeeper, you need a striker, you need 2 number 10s and a midfielder that can progress the ball and hope that they don't get big injuries. If you could write a list of all the worst possible outcomes this season back in July, every single one of them would have happened. Yeah, I saw something, if I can find it, to just highlight this season, okay? I can find. Oh yeah, Mo Salah was taking a piss as well online apparently. 16th in the Premier League. No longer have the most titles in England. Lost to Tottenham, who are below us in the league. Spent 200 million this season and sat Ten Hag and trophyless. That is our season. That is our season. 68 minutes before changes. Onana alone has cost us 15 points. But Cunha ain't going to fix it. Look at Wolves. They were fine without Cunha. Cunha's a great player. He fits the system. But Wolves could survive without Cunha. We saw that. Just bringing Cunha ain't going to fix it. You need Cunha. You need Gyökeres. You need Mbeumo. You need Belieber. You need Nori. You need Joan Garcia at the bare minimum this summer. At the bare minimum. And we can't afford that. And we're not able to do that. My head is on Mars. Maybe I'm being reactionary. Maybe I'm being over the top. But there's so much that's needed. There's a part of me that just thinks, fuck it. Let's go back to a 4-3-3. I can't do with this 5 at the back system. There's too much to do. Part of me just thinks we'll go back to a 4-3-3. I don't know. But then I'm like, the 4-3-3 didn't work. The players aren't good enough. These players couldn't do it in a 4-3-3. They couldn't do it in a back 5. We just got to get rid of the players and back the manager. But I feel lost. I do. But anyway, look, I'm going to wrap up today's show because I could just rant and rant and rant, and I could scream and I could cry about it for hours. Like, I'm honestly, when I say my head last night, you don't understand where my head was last night. My head was an absolute Mars last night. My head was all over the place. I am so angry. I'm so disappointed. I'm probably not being rational in any of my match reactions, and I know I'll calm down in a few days. But this is going to take me a while to get over. This is the worst I felt. You know, we've had 6th place in Trophy List. We've had 7th place in Trophy List. But 16th in Trophy List, it doesn't get worse than that. So anyway, go raid Never a Foul. Thank you for watching. Bye.